People are more sophisticated now than ever before. It's not as easy to just go sling a $10,000 deal on sales call number 1 or on a quick little 45-minute webinar. Doesn't mean that people don't want to buy it. I believe people want to buy these offers still, but they're a little bit more cautious. They got to do a little bit more due diligence.
What do you notice with the best speakers that aren't the best sellers from stage?
Most people, they have this belief that they need to be a great speaker in order to be a great salesperson, which is not at all the case. Selling is just a matter of helping someone make a decision that maybe they otherwise wouldn't have made on their own, but you're helping them achieve a result that they already wanted.
All right, so super last minute podcast here in Miami. I think you're in town because of the Jeremy Haynes Mastermind, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Awesome. How was that, by the way?
It's good. I mean, solid. The entire thing is just a group of entrepreneurs getting together to celebrate and encourage each other to hit multi-million-dollar months. That's the entire group. It's just a bunch of ballers, yeah.
Are you open and kind of like transparent about where you're at as far as revenue goes? Yep. Where are you guys at right now?
Right now, we're around 120 to 130 a month. But that's technically what we did last month. Every single month since we've launched the coaching offer that I had mentioned a little bit before we started this, we've been growing every single month since then. So that was in April that we soft launched it. And now we're in the 6-figure range on a monthly basis. And before that, we had a 7-figure business. Before that, technically last year, we were doing 7 figures as an agency. The coaching business is a totally new birth, as mentioned.
Sure. What have you learned, and I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit, but going from agency, and then you said you kind of ran into a lot of demand, and then you had to kind of forcibly build out the coaching. A lot of people just want to do the coaching because it's higher margins and they want to jump right to that.
Yep.
What have you learned, though, from building an agency to scaling to a little bit more info type of realm?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, wildly different businesses. They're hardly the same. Even with my team, I think just as far as a challenge, I'll get to the learning in a second, but the challenges for me have been, how do I best utilize my existing team that was with the agency, and how do I support, how do I best utilize them as we switch to an entirely different business model? As far as just learning lessons in general, I would say the SOPs and all of the processes that we had as an agency have really made the transition quite a bit easier in terms of how do we help our clients. But the tough part is I think the default way of thinking over the last 9 years has just been jump on into the client's business and do it for them. And now it's man, they're up against this issue. They're having problems with it. We're having to go against our default way of thinking because we'd normally just say, share access with us real quick. We'll just jump in and do it. It's no. That's going to inhibit them from truly being able to learn these skills. And so now it's just getting a better understanding of how do we truly do a knowledge transfer and those skill transfers to them. So I don't know. Those are more so probably challenges than learning lessons, but kind of two of the same.
Do you feel like you're a natural educator? Because you strike me as a doer off the rip, right?
I am absolutely a doer. I think that I'm a natural encourager. I'm really, really good at encouraging others and inspiring them to do other things as well. But yeah, I don't know that education has been my natural mode of operating ever.
It's really strange, man, because I took on a few clients early on for sales coaching and just trying to transfer my skill set to them. Because like I mentioned, I've been working with Dickie for the last couple of years, and I had been in sales about a year before that. And now I'm managing a team of sales reps. The education is actually more challenging for me than getting the deal done, right? And so I've had to really, really bite my tongue and try to prevent myself from jumping in and helping my sales rep just close the deal. And that's a lot of what the last 12 months has kind of looked like. It's I really had to bite my tongue. It's I'll just go close it for you. And then you can watch the recording. But it's trying to get 1 degree away from it and giving them those SOPs. What does it kind of look like practically? I mean, are you just taking your agency model and just SOPing everything and laying out a 7-step process for them to lay it out?
Literally. Yeah, literally it was that. Because for just to kind of bridge the gap for anyone watching, we were helping others host these paid virtual events or virtual challenges. And we had the model down. I mean, we've been doing that since 2020. It wasn't our full focus since 2020. It was really, we just had a growth marketing agency helping personal brands scale up high ticket offers. And, some people were doing, really most of our clients were just doing general call booking funnels. Sure. But then sometimes they'd want to do the challenge. Sometimes they'd want to do, a book funnel, et cetera. And when we saw that the virtual events were working so well, and actually it's a total God thing of how I really went all in on paid virtual events. But anyway, when we decided to do that, the demand was higher than what we could truly keep up for. The supply, we just couldn't supply.
For the DFY.
Yeah, for the DFY. And we started just transparent pricing. We started with a $10K build out with 25% back end rev share. And then We were attracting too many people that could afford that really didn't have the ad spend, or like they didn't really want to spend too much ads or too much on ads. And so then therefore our back end conversion rate, like even if it was a great conversion rate, we just couldn't make that much in back end profit.
Sure.
And so it's like, okay, well, let's increase the price and get a little bit more strict with who we take on as clients. So then we went up to 15K build out, which did absolutely nothing in terms of attracting better people. Then we went to 20K, then we went to 25K, still with the 25% rev share. And it was like, man, we got to the point where we had 2 new events that we were onboarding each month with that model. And once we helped someone host an event, you could go rehost that event or that challenge every single month if you'd like. That was easy. It was just helping people validate and test out a new event. That was the tough part. And so we got to the point where if we were doing 2 new events per month, we were still backed out 2 or 3 months in just clients just waiting to work with us. And at that point, I'm like, yeah, there's no way that God wants me to operate a business that we truly cannot meet the demand for all of the people that want to work with us. Like, we've got to restructure this in a way that meets the market with, where the demand is.
Where they're at. So it's kind of like the gym lunch thing where you're like, hey, I'm not flying out to do your gym, dude.
Yes.
I'll just tell you how to do it. And then you name your price.
Entirely. Yep.
What, early on, like with your first, let's say, consulting client, was it kind of like a shit show, or did you get him set up for success? Like, what was the first one like?
First, we're talking consulting client for the virtual events.
Yeah.
Actually, first one would have been a gentleman named Anthony Trucks. So if anyone knows of him, he's a former NFL player. Hardcore, just like, if you tell him what to do, he's going to do it. Incredible guy to work with. But he reached out in, I guess it was March of this year. And it was actually, we were running ads. We were selling tickets for our own virtual event, which was going to be our way that we were going to pre-sell our coaching program. And he reached out. He's like, hey, I bought a ticket to your event. Dude, I just don't even want to wait that long. I want to know, like, how can I work with you right now? And it almost naturally worked out for a consulting deal because he already had someone on his team that could do ads. He already had someone on his team that can make a funnel. He himself is a fantastic speaker. His business model, he helps other speakers get like 20 to 25K keynote engagements locked in. And what his problem was even though he was great at speaking, he had no idea how to sell from stage. And so his main thing he wanted help with was sales coaching, really on a one-to-many fashion. And so anyway, he said, hey, can you help us do a virtual event? We've never done one before. We know how to build the funnel, but like we don't know what we don't know. And so I was like, yeah, like let's do this out, or like let's build this out. And so the process was, I said, let's just meet with each other once a week for, I think it was a 10-week period. It was like 9 or 10 weeks. And each week it was just essentially just giving him an SOP, giving him and his team an SOP, and making sure that they had all of the resources, all of the homework items, and anything that they needed in between calls. They had access to us through Slack. And dude, they crushed it, man. So they went from losing money hand over fist on weekly webinars. They were doing webinars for about 18 months in a row. And he actually told me, this is documented, like, I'm not saying anything that he wouldn't want me to say. He said that he was about 1 month away from having to support the business from his personal savings account. And we spent 25 grand on ads. He had 240-ish people buy a ticket. He had a $25,000 offer that he pitched on day 4 and day 5 of the event. He ended up making 225 grand in sales from a 25K ad budget. So, what was that, 10X return?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the literal first consulting engagement, which was like, it was a little bit before we started the coaching program. So it was pretty sick.
That's awesome, man. I know you mentioned God a few times. I don't want to jump straight to that, but like,
sure.
Well, let me sequence this a little bit. You mentioned one other thing too, which is the difference between speaking and selling from stage. You said great speaker, can't sell for shit.
Yeah.
For the layperson who might not understand all of this, like, what is the difference? And like, what do you notice with the best speakers that aren't the best sellers from stage?
Sure. So speaking in general, like all things, it's a skill. Most people, I think, they have this belief that they need to be a great speaker in order to be a great salesperson, or they need to be a great speaker in order to be great at selling, which is not at all the case. Selling is just a matter of helping someone make a decision that they really, like helping someone make a decision that maybe they otherwise wouldn't have made on their own, but you're helping them achieve a result that they already wanted. And a speaker can go on up and they can present a whole bunch of information, but the easiest way I'm going to describe this is by using an analogy. Let's say that, are you married by chance?
Mm-mm.
No. Are you in a relationship at all?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So let's say that you go on a first date with a girl and, you dress up all nice. You go pick her up, you get reservations at a nice restaurant and you guys sit down and The very second you sit down, instead of talking about any small talk, instead of getting to know her, you just immediately want to start talking about every news article that you've seen in the last 7 days or everything on CNN or Fox. It's like nothing wrong with talking politics, but not the time and place to talk, right? And even if you're married, it's like, on Valentine's Day, maybe you're wanting the night to go a certain direction. You're probably not going to get the night to go in a certain direction by talking about politics, even if you guys are aligned on the political views. It's just, that's the difference between teaching versus selling. Teaching is fine. It's educational. Someone's learning something, but that doesn't make them want to buy anything necessarily. So we always say there's 5 core beliefs that you have to help someone believe for themselves if they're in the audience in order for them to even be ready to hear your offer. So we can talk about those.
Let's go.
Okay, cool. So first things first, if you're wanting to actually sell to your audience, and really this can be done, just to be clear, organic content. This could be done in an event. This could be done on stage, a virtual stage, a one-on-one sales call. So just to set the frame, this is just selling in general.
Yeah.
Someone has to believe that they actually have a problem that needs solved for. A lot of people, especially up on stage, they'll get on up and, they'll go deliver a whole bunch of value and they're like, hey, and here's our offer. But if the person, they can trust you, they can feel like, all of these other 4 beliefs, they can all be there. But if they don't actually believe that they have a problem that they need to solve for, there's no reason for them to buy. So anyway, that's the number one thing, is make them realize and really consciously aware that they have a problem that needs solved for. Number 2 is to help them understand that your method or your solution that you have is the absolute best solution that they can actually go deploy to solve the problem that they have. Thirdly, they have to believe that, yes, they have a problem. Yes, you have a great solution that's probably better than any of the other solutions they could use. They have to believe that you personally are the guide that they want to learn this solution from. Because maybe there's another competitor that teaches a very similar solution that you do. Why should they go with you as compared to the competitor? So really just building up your know, like, and trust with them. Fourth one is something that a lot of people miss, especially speaking from stage, which is they have to believe, as the audience member, that I believe you as the presenter can help someone like me. The like me is important because it's more so testimonials. We all have these, I'd probably say subconscious, these subconscious reasons.
Implicit.
For why we believe it won't work for me. I'm in a weird, unique situation. I'm married, or I'm single, or I'm too busy, or I'm, I have too much time on the schedule, or I've been screwed over by coaches before. Whatever else. Everyone has
I'm a special
these,
snowflake. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Everyone believes they're a special snowflake. And to some degree, sure, you might have some unique things that are going on in your life, but it's not so unique that, no one else can relate to it. And so if you as a presenter, or you as a salesperson, or you as a brand, a personal brand, if you are telling stories of other people that you've helped, you should curate stories that can align with all of these unique special snowflake scenarios, right? So have a story about the person that you helped that was literally 1 month away from having to pull, support the business from their personal savings. Have a story about the person who's been burnt by 5 agencies and you were able to help them have success. Have a story that, have stories of all of those before, the before and afters. It's not so much about where they end up after. Use all of those before stories and really get into a nitty-gritty detail of here's where this person was. And if you have enough of those stories and they're all specifically diverse, you're using different stories for a different reason, almost every single person in the audience is going to be able to say, yep, these other 4 stories might not be like me, but Joey there that he just mentioned, that's exactly where I'm at right now. So that's the 4th belief. And then the 5th one is they have to believe that they have to take action now. They have to believe that, yes, they have a problem that needs fixed, but they have to believe that now is the absolute best time to take action. And there's 2 ways you could do that. Just to be clear, when I say this, a lot of people think that this is about you just need, some scarcity and that we have limited spots that we can help people out with. That is offer scarcity. I'm talking about a belief that someone truly, internally believes before they even know what you have to sell. And so there are 2 ways that we've found that you can do this. One is through external beliefs or external motivators.
Sure.
The second one is internal motivators. External motivators, just for anyone listening, this is the really at-large market beliefs that you just know to be true. For example, let's say that you're selling some sort of an Airbnb offer and you teach people, how to, do Airbnb arbitrage. Maybe there's some new law or some new statute that came out in Florida and Miami, And it's like, hey, you as an audience person needs to understand that this new law just went into place. And because of this, all of the big money hedge funds are about to be investing here, like blink and blink and blink. Here's what's going on in the market. If someone sees that and they're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, it makes sense to get in right now because all this big money is about to head this way. Like, that's just something that everyone can see as a general fact. There's not really much to argue there. That's helpful. The internal motivators are the most helpful, though. And that's where, like, what are the thoughts that are keeping them up at night? Hey, you need to do this because you know at the end of the day that your wife has been told the same story time after time after time that, hey, next month we're finally going to, hit that record revenue. Next month we're finally going to be able to afford to pay off the house. Next month we're finally, like, well, at what point are you going to finally be the man that your wife thinks, or like that you've told that your wife you're going to be?
Sure.
Like, it's those sorts of stories, and the only way you can sell to that or by instilling those beliefs or by like getting people reminded of those is by asking questions. So, I would say by asking questions. So, for example, you can make a point and say, so look, guys, here's everything that we've presented to you today. We've shown you that this and this and this and this help. Here's how you could solve the problem. Now, let me ask you, are you going to finally make the change? Like, are you sitting here today and you're the type of person that maybe your wife has heard 5 times over now that, you're finally going to be able to build that business to the dreams that you guys have talked about? Or maybe you know that your kids are not going to be able to go to a private school next year if you don't make more money right now. Or like, and that's, you just start to mention a bunch of hypothetical situations, but by mentioning enough diverse situations, it's going to speak to almost every single person there. So long story short, big difference between selling from stage and presenting from stage, but selling is just all about belief shifting.
Yeah, that's so important, man. And I think that when I'm selling one-to-one, when we run a discovery call, right, or a strategy call, and the first 30 minutes or 20 minutes is the discovery, a lot of people forget that these internal beliefs need to be installed.
Yep.
And what would you say to the person that might be looking a little bit outside within, and they have some great service or product, or they can really solve a problem in an awesome way, but they have this misconstrued version of what selling actually is, and they kind of feel like it's bad? Like, what are some of the thoughts that come to mind when you think about coaching people on how to instill these beliefs if there's a little bit of friction there?
Yeah.
Do you run into that?
Oh, yeah. So just to be clear, so we're talking about the person that's like, yeah, I have this offer. I know I can help more people, but I just don't want to be salesy. Like,
right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All of the beliefs against sales, it's a real thing. And I'm still trying to figure out, like, everyone has different reasons for why they don't want to be salesy. In general, you have to understand that sales is serving. Like, that's actually one of the first things we mentioned right whenever we sat down, is that selling is really just helping someone make a decision they already wanted to make in the first place at the end of the day. And a lot of people want to buy from you, but they wouldn't know that they can buy from you unless you even give them an offer or unless you help them make those decisions. And so, like, it depends. I think helping someone get around this mindset belief is going to be different based on why they're believing that. Sometimes it's religious beliefs, and we could go into an entire 3-hour episode on how God is actually, like, God has called us to multiply, and he's it's literally in the Bible through and through and through that he's called us to multiply what he's given us. And we can talk about the parable of the talents and how the 2 servants that were called good and faithful were the ones that invested and multiplied theirs and turned them into double what was given. And the one that would maintain was called wicked and lazy. And what his 1 talent that was given to him, it was taken away from him. And it's also scriptural that it's like, blessed is he that sells his grain, or blessed is he that sells his corn, and a curse to the man that, like, keeps it, or something like that. But it literally is selling it, not giving it away, but selling it. Like, sales is just good. And we can talk about all of the biblical reasons that support that. We can also talk about how wealth is actually good, and wealth is meant for God's people. That's a different thing that I fully transparent, all in the Bible, but I learned that one from Myron Golden, fantastic mentor of mine.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah, a couple things. I think sales, the way I look at it is, sales is change management.
Yeah.
And I got that from Chris Doe from the future, who has a bunch of awesome sales content amongst his, I think he helps design agencies, things like that.
Sure.
But he called it change management. I like that a lot. And I think when people go and they buy a car from a car dealership, now the car salesperson might have some sort of initiative where they want to make a bunch of commission or whatever, but that context isn't through and through with sales, right? Like, sales is service, and whenever you're making a complex decision, sometimes you need somebody to walk you through it. Mm-hmm. And typically that's an expert, right? And so for those who have an offer and they have a problem or service, like I don't want to be salesy, you just have this connotation that you're kind of holding on to. And I really wish to like dismiss and suspend that, or at least try to help people suspend that belief, because at the end of the day, sales is service, right? And so like when I was waiting tables before I got into the space, like as a server, right, you're selling the person the place and you're offering them an appetizer, wine, dessert to enhance their experience. And so some people need to be led through that decision, right? So what are some of the other limiting beliefs that you see when you're working with your clients on helping them do this outside of, I don't want to be salesy? Are there anything else?
Well, let's just be clear. I don't want to be salesy is by far the biggest belief that people have that they have to get through. Also, I just want to mention, and it's a general known thing, everyone loves to buy things. They just hate being sold to.
Being sold,
right? No one wants to feel pressured into making a decision if the pressure is coming from you. But internal pressure is usually where you make your purchases from. And you also have to keep in mind, like, they're going to buy something either way. Do you believe that you are the best person to support them, or do you believe that they should purchase from a competitor of yours who might have a inferior service? So a whole bunch in there. However, another thing that I would say, probably the secondary reason that gets in the way of people truly being able to scale up, especially with paid virtual events, is that our specific model is usually a loss leader, which means if you're selling tickets, let's say like our specific model, we do like $7, $9 tickets, even $1 tickets for virtual events. The show rates are still almost the exact same as if you're selling $97 and $297 tickets. We see anywhere from 50 to 75% show rates all day long.
A lot better than free, though.
Way better than free, yeah. And so like that's easy to get someone's mindset around. A lot of the people, specifically in our coaching program, though, they have maybe not experienced running ads all that much. And so they think that because they are spending money on ads, they should be getting more money back. But when you're selling a $7 ticket, you might spend $100 to $150 on ads to get that one $7 ticket sale. Not always. Like some of our clients, they get cost of acquisition down to $25. They're still losing money. Every $25 they spend, they're getting a $7 sale. You're losing some money there. And so getting their mindset wrapped around like, this is a long-term investment. Long-term, I say long-term because you're not getting the profit day one. You're getting the profit maybe 2 or 3 weeks later whenever you sell your
long-term, right?
your higher ticket offer. But like if they're not confident in their ability to sell in a one-to-many fashion, especially on that first event, they're a little cautious at how much they can spend on the upfront ads. And so like that's just a weird thing whenever they're seeing they're spending, $100 a day, they might only get a couple sales here and there, but they're not making as much back. And they're like, well, now I'm going to go into this event with like a needy, graspy energy because I have to have the event pay off. It's like, well, yeah, you should, but also you're doing something massively wrong. If you've got a couple hundred people on Zoom for 2 or 3 days in a row, even 5 days in a row, if you can't get a couple of them to pay you $5 to $10,000 for your offer, if you truly help them and truly help them shift some beliefs and follow the rest of our frameworks, like something's massively wrong with your offer if you can't get a couple of those people to pay you. So I don't know.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
The mindset around like investing into ads without an immediate payoff is really tough for people to get their mind around.
Yeah, I like I mentioned with doing the Premium Ghostwriting Academy with Dickie and Cole, and one of our best students, his name is Thomas Vlassman. He runs a company called Digital Leverage, and he's basically just organic LinkedIn and Twitter, and he's crushing it. But a lot of times, when I refer clients over to him or when he has these clients on a call, they think that this organic ghostwriting or this organic personal brand stuff is going to pay off right away.
Sure.
When in fact, the belief shift needs to be that if you post content on the internet across 12 months, it will eventually pay off.
Yep.
And breaking that belief is super difficult too.
Yep.
So with the founders in mind, right? Like when you're thinking about recommending people doing these events, like what should they know? Like let's say they're running the traditional webinar funnel, and a lot of people probably think webinar is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What is the difference? Are you doing the whole Russell Brunson like 3-day thing? Like walk me through the differences.
Yeah. So first of all, we get big on multi-day experiences. Multi-day experiences all day long will always have a better conversion rate on your back-end offer than a single day experience. When I say multi-day, we're not talking all day long. We do not do 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 full-on summits.
Marathon, Russell Brunson.
Yeah. No, it's these are like, really, I think most people would probably call them challenges. We own it all at paidevents.com, paidchallenges.com, paidbootcamps.com. Like we have it all, but it's whether you want to call them events, challenges, etc. Usually we're talking go live for 1 to 2 hours a day, max. 1 is on the short end, probably 2's a little bit of a better fit. Go live for, you could either do 2 days, 3 days, or 5 days? We have frameworks helping people decide which is right for them. That depends on their offer price point. It depends on what their call to action is going to be. Some people will sell direct to checkout. Some people will sell direct to, or not sell, they will pitch direct to a free call. And then obviously the sales team comes on and closes the deal. And sometimes this is probably our favorite model, which is the deposit model, where you still do a price drop. You say, our program's $10,000. However, you don't owe that today. All you owe right now is $1,000 or maybe a $500 fully refundable deposit that's going to redirect to our calendars, make sure that you're ultimately invested in the call. And obviously, if you join that call, we decide it's not a good fit for you, no big deal. We'll refund your deposit back. But that way, it's really just kind of like the high-end restaurant check. Reservation. Yeah, but it's a commitment check all day long.
Yeah, we rip deposits all day. And it's so funny because the founder is like, he texts me every once in a while. He's like, we should stop the deposits. So
you should not stop the deposits.
Yeah, don't stop. I'm going to clip this out and send it to him. Yeah. I think whenever people are raising their hand, right? Like, well, okay. You mentioned 2 day is better, and like, is it the spaced out duration?
2 day is better than a single day, but it does not necessarily mean it's better than a 5 day or a 3 day.
Okay, walk me through like, why is it that people need to spend more time getting nurtured?
Yeah,
and Jeremy Haynes talks about like turn your closers into cashiers, right? Like if I'm trying to turn my closers into cashiers from a marketing perspective, like what is it psychologically that's happening? Is it just that they're staying with it and then they're sleeping on it and then they're staying with it again, they're sleeping on it? Like walk me through some of the background. Like what is it?
Yeah, so I think it's twofold. Part one is probably a little bit less important, but it's still very much important to think of. If you could try to go do a 2 or maybe a 3 hour session in one day and try to close out, like you could do a 3 day experience all in one day. The reason why I don't believe that's going to be as effective, number one, is because people's attention span is really, really poor nowadays. Call it what it is, especially on a virtual event. If you're trying to hold their attention for a few hours at a time, the likelihood that they're going to check their Slack, they're going to check their email, they're going to check their Facebook, their kids are going to run in the room, it's very high. It's easier for them to say, hey, I'm going to block out those distractions because I'm just going to be super, super present for here because it's here this 1 hour. That's easy to block out some distractions for, but 2 or 3 hours is a little bit harder to block out distractions for. That's number one. But two, and I think this is the most important, is that people are more sophisticated now than ever before. And they are simultaneously more skeptical now more than ever before. It's not as easy to just go sling a $10,000 deal on, sales call number one or on a quick little 45-minute webinar. Doesn't mean that people don't want to buy it. Actually, I believe people want to buy these offers still, but they're a little bit more cautious. They got to do a little bit more due diligence. And if you think about it, if you go live for, call it 1 hour on day one and another hour on day two, if you can shift their beliefs on day one, they're going to still be thinking about what it is that you taught them and what it is that you were helping them out with for the rest of the day. On day one, like, you're out at dinner with your family and they're still thinking about whatever you taught them earlier that day. And so you're only spending maybe 2 or 3 hours total with them over 2 or 3 days. However, in their brain, you're with them the entire week because if you're actually shifting their beliefs, they're going to be thinking about you the rest of the day after your session's over, all the next morning going into the next session, expecting and hoping and anticipating for all the value of the next day. And so ultimately, you're no longer on the brain for 2 or 3 hours total on one day. You're actually on the brain for 2 or 3 days straight. And so at that point, I need to think about it, or like, oh, I just met you, or like, this is all new to me. It's not as much of an objection that comes up. So it gives them a little bit more time to actually think about it and comprehend these things.
Sure. So whenever you're looking at someone, are you working with just coaching and consulting businesses specifically? Like, is it info businesses? Like
largely. We do have some. We have like a tax strategist that we've recently helped out, and we've also had right now we have a client she helps with tax remediation. So if you have a bunch of tax debt, she can help you out with that. And those are more done for you services, or it's part consulting, part done for you. Sure. But largely though, they are info product businesses.
And so a lot of the common threads with these businesses, right, is that they've got the founder who did the thing.
Yep.
And then they're teaching other people how to do it.
Yep.
And there's usually 3 pillars, right? Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. So my business partner and I, Alex, we run a career coaching offer, and we help product managers land their next role in the top tech companies. So we help people go from like $200K to, let's say, $500,000 to $700,000, sometimes $1 million salary. Great. And if you're at PayPal and you want to go work at Google, we help you get ready for that interview. And so it's positioning with resume and getting callbacks and getting the interview. And then it's interview performance, making sure you ace it because there's really high competition. And then it's once you get the offer negotiation, compensation, et cetera. So it's like the 3-pillar thing.
Okay.
With info businesses and selfishly, like if you could give some pointers on that, like what are you looking at when you're auditing these offers? And then how does that dictate the presentation and the actual build out of the event?
Yeah. I'm going to answer the question. It might be a roundabout way of answering it though. So back-end offer always will have multiple angles that can make someone interested in it. Okay, so let's use that career, the career offer as an example. So the people that you're helping, you said they're usually making $200,000 to $300,000 a year already.
$150,000 to $300,000, somewhere in that range, and they want to go to $500,000 to $700,000.
Okay, so one of the things they might be interested in is I want to make more money. Just simple as that. You know, I'm trying to make more, and this current company is not letting me do that. Another thing they might be interested in is location freedom as a constraint. So it's like, hey, I even if I can make the same amount of money, but I don't want to go into the office anymore. Like I want this other sort of a setup. That might be something else that's interesting. Another one might be working on something that's bigger than them. It's like, hey, I've been doing this thing, but I kind of feel like I'm pushing the buttons. I just kind of feel like I'm going through the hamster wheel. I want to work on something more meaningful. Those are like just literally right now top of mind, 3 random things that your prospect might be interested in. So we always start off, before we design any event, we just do a market research test to figure out what's going to be the most valid. What are we going to have the most legs to stand on? And so we would do a market research test on a Facebook ad campaign, spend $200 to $1,000 total. And what that looks like, it's a little lead campaign, and one of them, like one ad set, would be promoting. It's essentially saying, hey, we're looking to do an upcoming virtual event. Here's what we're going to be teaching, and it's the general outline of. It's the general process or the general core promise of what that back-end offer helps them with. And you're saying, hey, I'm going to be teaching a little bit about this, this, and this. We don't have the dates yet, but if you'd like to sign up and be essentially join the wait list and be the first to know when our event comes out, whatever, enter your information here and we'll let you know. What that does, we'll test out single image ads. They all look identical to each other. It might be literally a black screen with white text of like hire. These are so generic because I just heard about this offer, but like one ad would talk about, it would be a name or a potential name for an event that would encompass the making more money. So $700K salary, or like $250 to $700K salary. That's all it would say. The next one might say something along the lines of location freedom while making $300K or more. Another one might be, I don't know, mission driven,
impact focused.
Yeah, something like that. And ultimately, when you test out a few different names like that, you're going to see which one has the lowest cost per lead. And you'll also be able to, like, we usually will ask qualitative questions as well to see what quality of applicants these people are bringing in, or these name ideas are bringing in. And so then let's say it's everyone wants just simply the higher income salary. That's great. If we understand that, now that is the general theme of the event. That's the general name of the event. Now,
make $700K as a product manager.
Sure. And then now let's plan out, what do you need to teach? That audience, I would imagine, is going to be a little bit more sophisticated. They have a little bit more, probably quite a bit more disposable income. So you don't need to necessarily sell to them for 5 days straight. I don't know that would be the best. What's the offer price point? Just
$12,000.
$12,000.
Probably going to 15.
Okay. I'd probably do a 3-day event, and then maybe a bonus, like a repitch 4th day. And on a 3-day event, I would do day 1 is all about belief shifts and problem prodding. So you are making them really conscious of all of the issues with their current job and why they've got to get out of that job and why they need to make more money. You should probably be doing some activities helping them understand why they need to make more money. That maybe it's talking about, doing the money math and when do you really want to retire and how much do you really need to be investing and all of that stuff. Really has nothing to do at all with the content that they're there for, but you're helping them shift the way they think. Day 2 would be more advanced strategies that would help them get those new jobs. You're teaching them more about the what and the why rather than the how. So
you're kind of giving away the strategy and then you'll sell the implementation on the back end.
Yep, exactly. And then day 3, in this case, would be putting it all together and what's the how. And it's like, essentially, you kind of wrap it all together and say, look, guys, you learned this yesterday. You understand why this is all important. Moving forward, here's how you can make this happen. And you can maybe brush over a little bit of the how. I wouldn't get too much into it at all because you totally kill your chances of getting the sales. But it's like, let's just say that part of the how is applying for new jobs.
Doing mock interviews.
Yeah, doing mock interviews. Like, you're going to teach the what of the how, even if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're going to teach the core steps without telling them how to do those core steps. And then you're going to transition to your pitch. And it's like, all right, so as we told you, and we always tell people to open up on day one, letting people know this is not a sales pitch in disguise. Like at the end of the day, we can only teach you so much in a matter of 3 days, or really in this case, 3 hours. And some of you guys, you'll be pointed in the right direction and you'll be off to the races. You'll be good to go. We'll never hear from you again, but we love that you're here. Love you for it. Others of you, you'll be pointed in the right direction, but you have no idea what's going to come from around the corner up there, and you're going to want someone to hold your hand and make sure that they're walking with you until you get that new job. Guys, if that's you, we're not going to leave you hanging. We do have a special offer prepared. We'll share with you at the end of day 3. No pressure to buy it, though. And so then at that point, they all know this is happening on day 1. And then in day 3, after you teach a little bit more of those like next steps, it's like, all right, cool. So you have 3 options. Option number 1, you could neglect all of the information we talked about this week. And in that case, there's a waste of your time and a waste of your money to be here. If you just like to stay exactly where you are. Option number 2, you try to do it yourself. And here's what you're up against. And option number 3 is here's how we can help you. And then you reveal your offer. So that's the general outline for like how I would come up with a content structure for an event like that. So you don't have to break down every core component of your back-end offer. You're really just telling them a little bit more of the advanced strategies that will get them closer to the desired result that they want, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah, absolutely, man. I'm tracking exactly what you mean. Do you feel that every info business owner going into 2025 should be running these events? Because you mentioned that it's the thing that's crushing right now.
Yeah.
Like, why do you have so much conviction on this vehicle specifically?
Well, first of all, even if I believe that everyone should, and even if every other person out there says that everyone should be doing it, no one will, or not everyone will, because they are, if we just call it what it is, they are one of the hardest, more complex sales processes or funnels to draft up. You can go get a call booking funnel with a quick VSL done overnight, and like you're good to go. To do this properly, it's going to take you probably about a month of prep work. Roughly, you could maybe do it a little bit faster than that. And it's going to take you every bit of 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks for a ticket promotion. And then you're going to do that event. So you're really looking at a 2-month on-ramp. A lot of people want overnight success or overnight results. They're just not going to do it. But in general, yeah, should everyone do it? Yeah, I think it'd be a fantastic thing for everyone to do. I just know most people won't because it does take a little bit of extra work. And I think for the person that's listening, if you are contemplating hosting an event like this, you're like, would this make sense for me? I would ask, number 1, on a personal conviction, do you believe that you are the absolute best person teaching what you teach? Yeah. If you truly there's a lot of, call it what it is, especially with ChatGPT, man. There's a lot of ways that you can coach people and really use ChatGPT as your knowledge base. Mm-hmm. If you're doing that, this is going to get exposed real quick when you're presenting for a few hours over the course of a few days. People are going to see real quick you are not the guy or the girl.
Yeah, your outline has the emojis.
Yeah, all the M dashes and everything. Yeah, you're going to get exposed pretty quickly if you're not truly an expert in what it is that you're doing. And if you don't have a lot of testimonials, it's going to be really tough to actually sell, because that's one of those core buying beliefs that you got to sell to is like, will your method work for someone like me? If you don't personally have a bunch of testimonials of people that you've helped, it's also going to be tough. But yeah, I mean, if you crush at what you do, you're an expert, and you truly have a heart to expand your impact and reach more customers, it's one of the absolute best things you can do. Because once again, even just going back to the Bible, and I'm not going to force, obviously if you're an atheist, I don't really care. I was praying one day and I was like, God, why does it make sense to go all in on events? And he's like, how did Jesus build his ministry? Like, he did sermons. Like, huh. And I started doing the math. And there's a spot in the Bible that talks about the feeding of the 5,000, which were famously known as 5,000 men, but there were also children and women there as well, and those were not counted. Ultimately, most theologians would say he was preaching to about 11 to 12,000 individuals that day. And I'm just like, put this in business terms right now. If you had 11,000 people that wanted to know more about what you're doing and wanted to get the result that you can help them with, if you were meeting with 11,000 people one-on-one, it'd take you over 5.5 years to do it. If you have 100% show rate for 1 hour a day for 8 hours a day, it's going to take forever to reach that many people. And even if you have a sales team, in his case, he had 12 disciples. I'm like, well, divide that out by 12 disciples. That'd help you out, right? No, it'd still take over 6 months to reach 11,000 appointments with 12, if you had a 12 person sales team with 100% show rate, which we all know is not going to happen. Yep. It's but he did it in one afternoon. Going one to many is literally, it's a tale as old as biblical times. One to many is just a more exponential way to grow your message, grow your impact, and reach more people. And yeah, I think it makes sense.
Shout out to Jesus, and then Jason Flatland, the guy who wrote One to Many, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Flatland's a goat, especially for webinars. Yeah,
absolutely. So, yeah, I think it's interesting, man, how one thing you mentioned was that if you believe you're the go-to guy, right?
Yeah.
I believe that, like we talked about sales as service, right? Like you have a moral obligation. If you feel like you're the guy to actually get these people to that transformation, you have a moral obligation to get on that stage, man.
Yep.
And so I think what you're doing is awesome. What are you looking forward to as far as like in your next 6 months, right?
Yep.
You said you hit 100K a month, et cetera, and you're going to this coaching model. Like, what are you trying to accomplish in the next, let's say, 90 to 180 days?
Yep. Real quick, you said if you believe that, I forgot to mention, belief is one of the biggest things, especially in sales, right? Like if you don't have conviction, that's going to be sniffed from a mile away.
Yep.
So that's huge. You have to have the belief because your energy and how you present will be extremely important on whether or not you're going to get sales. But anyway, as far as you say, what, like 90 to 180 day goals?
Q4 going into next year.
Yeah, right now we're in the middle of launching podcasts and email. I don't know when your posting schedule is, but I would imagine by the time this episode is out, our show should be up and live. It's called Sold Out Events Podcast, so that should be up. So really just working on more content because we're getting on more and more stages. We have 5 events that we're sponsoring or speaking at, in-person events over the next 2 months. So that should really take us through the end, I would say most of Q4. We'll also be doing another virtual event in December, another virtual event in January. Those in general should take us to around, just based on the size of those events, I already know people that are signed up, we should be around 200 to 250 a month in cash collected by December. At that point, it's like, that would be probably double where we're currently at. We're going to need to hire some support coaches. We're going to need to continue to perfect our systems and our client support process. So really it's just like hosting more events, going to more events, getting on bigger stages, quite literally trying to expand our own impact.
Sure.
And then making sure that like I don't want to grow so big overnight that obviously you have lawsuits and whatnot that can happen. I've seen people build literally a $5 million a month business within 3 months from scratch, and a year later he was bankrupt. So like, yeah, it's really just continuous growth, more events, hire more staff, and perfect our product, because I think that's one of the biggest things. Like I know we have an incredible process. I want to make sure that the product is perfect, because as we scale, it's going to be more and more and more headaches if you don't have everything ironed out. So I don't know. It's that's really not a specific goal, but I don't.
Grow sustainable.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun, man. You mentioned going on actual stages, right?
Yeah.
So like, how much actual events would you recommend people do? Like, what's the ratio? Like, are you having people actually go on physical stages, or like is it just virtual only? Or
virtual only is like that's my favorite. However, when a door opens with opportunity, I'm going to go down it. Like if God's saying, hey, here's this thing, like sure, I'll go down it. The in-person stages was something I never planned on doing. Someone offered an opportunity to sponsor their event. I paid $5,000 to sponsor their event in July. There were only 50 people in the room. And, there were 50 people in the room. I had 10 minutes on stage. We closed $110,000. And and then it was like, there's something to this. Like,
something here.
This is the model. Yeah. And then, that opened up a door for, we had 7 more events within the next like 30 days that got brought to me of like, hey, do you want to sponsor this event? Hey, do you want to speak at this event? Do you want to do a rev share at this event? Like yes, and more yes. And so that's why I'm doing that, is because the doors continue to open.
Let's go.
But yeah, you don't have to go do a bunch of in-person events. They are great if you know what you're doing and you know how to sell. But
it sounds really exciting. Like I definitely see myself eventually checking some of those boxes too.
Yeah.
I know we got like 2 more minutes, but I wanted to ask you real quick. You mentioned something. You're training for a marathon.
Yeah.
What's the deal?
Oh, yeah. So, ran my first marathon last October 2024.
Okay.
It sucked, but it was awesome at the same time, right? Pretty slow time. I would say slow time was like 4.5 hours, a little over. And I was really shooting for sub 4.
Sure.
And then my wife, she just finished up PhD work in July of this year, and she's never cared to run
Congrats.
a marathon.
What's her name, by the way?
Thank you. Amanda.
Shout out Amanda.
Yeah. And she's never really cared to run a marathon, but she's like, hey, if there's ever been a time to train for a marathon, like I've truly got nothing on the schedule now, I'm down to train for one. And so we're training for one in January. And we're going to run it way slower than what I ran my 4.5 hour one in, just because I'm pacing with her.
Yeah.
But then after that, like I'm trained up right now to I know with almost, I can't say with certainty until I actually do it. I'm confident I can go run a sub 4 right now. I'm trained up for it. And so if I run the slow one with her, I'm going to for sure want to go race my own, probably in April. I've got a couple different ones I'm toying between on the calendar. And then at that point, I'm like, man, if I keep shaving off time, like, what if I just commit to this for the next 4 or 5 years and like maybe try to run Boston at some point? That'd be sick, right? Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think I just caught a bug, and it's a scary slope at this point because my knees can't handle it.
The reason I asked is because I just actually signed up 20 people to run the Austin Marathon.
Oh, when?
And I just in February 2026. So if you want to put one on your calendar, man, let me know. But
I'm running the half marathon in Vegas in February, so we'll have to see if dates align. But I'd be trained up for it.
Yeah, man. I think a lot of what I'm trying to do is mix this blend between endurance and these actual races and business. And so, like,
dude, they're so linked. Like they go hand in hand.
Yeah, man. What would you like? What's the very quickly? What is like the virtual event that you could do around sales plus marathon? Like, what comes to mind? Like, is there anything? Because that's like the conviction / endurance, like go farther than you think.
Yeah.
Is the angle that I'm trying to build out in the space, and I really want to like inject more of that conviction into the space.
So that's it'd be a weird event theme, but you can use a lot of running analogies to get someone bought more into whatever you're trying to teach them with sales, or vice versa. Like you could use sales analogies with marathoners, but oh boy, is your question like what's the theme of the event? Like what's your
I guess like is there a world where you can combine those two things and come up with something at the end, right? Because at first I was like, should I teach people how to run marathons, like or should I teach people sales? But then it's like this sales endurance thing I'm trying to blend in.
Yeah. I would focus on one core payoff, but you can have a unique mechanism, right? And so the core payoff could be sales, and then the unique mechanism is like, we're doing sales, but we're going to do so through running. And so obviously you're going to oust yourself from a bunch of fatties that don't want to go run, that maybe they don't know how to close, or maybe they want to close and they just don't want to run. But for the person that's bought into both, and the person that's like, I see how the more fit I am and the more that I can control my mind, especially in an endurance event like that, I can see how that's going to allow me to just absolutely crush. Yeah, like it's through storytelling and a lot of analogies, but you can absolutely use both of them and say, hey, here's our brand. And I don't know. I think those make sense. It's like how Chubby Shorts back in the day, for anyone that's familiar with them, they used a lot of like, tailgating and, beer bonging and like partying because they knew their entire core audience was frat guys. And like it made sense. It was just shorts. Doesn't mean you have to be into partying, but because frat guys were their main core audience, it was like, we're gonna market these shorts with all these fraternity guys, and I don't know, just like you just make it one brand.
That's super interesting, man. I'll have to pull on that thread, but no, that helps a lot, man. And I actually can start to see how the seeds are. Some seeds are being planted right now.
Sure.
So, dude, thanks for jumping on. I know
thanks for having me. It was literally last minute.
Speed run through everything. Where can people find you, man?
Instagram, Zach Hesterberg, just the first and last name. YouTube, Zach Hesterberg as well. And then podcasts, as long as this comes out by like November 1st, we'll have a podcast out as well on any audio platform you can find.
Cool.
And that
I'll beat
should be
you to
sold
it.
out events.
Sick, dude. Thanks for coming on, man. Boom.